are living through a period of global disarray, unlike anything many of us have seen in our lifetimes. The playbooks that governed World War II, the Cold War, the post-9/11 era are no longer relevant to the challenges facing us today. Challenges brought by violent extremism, climate change, pandemics, global economic instability, the rapid rise of AI, and erratic and unstable leaders have shaken the foundations of our world. These are global challenges that require cross-border solutions. And yet, even diplomatic relationships that have been taken for granted for centuries are breaking down. We need every tool at our disposal to begin to reestablish baseline relations between nations. And one of those tools, long overlooked, underutilized, underappreciated, and unsung, is architectural diplomacy. When the Australian government unveiled its new embassy in Washington in 2023, it didn't just open a building. It revealed a showcase of sustainability and design that evokes the geography of Australia itself, with vast skylights that mimic an open sky, copper panels that reference the outback, and a central atrium lined with Australian timber. More than an architectural statement, the new embassy is a model of environmentally responsible design, integrating solar panels, cutting-edge technology, and sustainable construction practices. It even features a green roof, native landscaping, and even an apiary. Those choices earned a 4-star Green Star rating from the Green Building Council of Australia. They also earned LEED Gold certification from the US Green Building Council. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design and is the world's most widely recognized green building certification. It's awarded to projects that meet rigorous standards for energy efficiency, sustainability, and environmental performance. The Australian Embassy in Washington is the only building in the world that has achieved both Green Star and LEED certifications. This sustainable embassy in such a high visibility location within view of the White House makes a powerful statement, and it positions Australia as a global leader on the climate stage. This matters because buildings are not neutral. According to the United Nations Environment Programme, the UNEP, the buildings and construction sector uses about 1/3 of all the energy consumed by households, businesses, governments, farms, and fisheries worldwide. And it generates more than 1/3 of global energy-related CO2 emissions. From 2015 to 2023, CO2 emissions from building operations rose by about 5%. They should have dropped sharply instead to stay in line with the Paris Agreement, a global treaty adopted in 2015 to fight climate change. The UNEP has warned that the building sector is significantly off track for meeting its 2030 and 2050 decarbonization goals. If we want to understand climate impact, we have to look to the built environment. And if we want to understand diplomacy, we should look there as well. Embassies are among the most visible instruments of foreign engagement that a country possesses. Their design choices, materials, landscape, circulation, the way the public is welcomed in or held at a distance, communicate national priorities to anyone who understands the language of architecture. These are not just office buildings. They are physical representations of identity, values, and intent. As the founder and CEO of Diplomatica Global Media and as a journalist, I have spent years exploring diplomatic properties, embassies and ambassadors' residences, cultural centers, consulates, and more. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of these diplomatic spaces embedded in cities around the world. In Washington, D.C., for instance, more than 175 countries are represented through embassies alone, before accounting for the wider constellation of missions, delegations, and offices that extend a nation's footprint far beyond a single address. New York City hosts more than 100 consulates alongside the United Nations and a dense ecosystem of multilateral institutions, sometimes co-located and sometimes spread throughout the city. When you hang that many flags in any one city, the question becomes, how do nations distinguish themselves? Well, one answer lies in their buildings. By designing or renovating diplomatic missions with sustainability at their core, countries send a clear message about their commitment to the environment and to their hosts. It is a modern form of soft power that extends beyond government-to-government relations and into relationships with industries, communities, and everyday neighbors. Australia is not alone in this approach. Take the Belgian embassy and ambassador's residence in Kenya, which under the current ambassador transformed a colonial-era mansion into a net zero embassy. Or the Swiss property in Washington, which under the previous ambassador, a bird watcher, underwent a significant rewilding to become an urban oasis for birds, honeybees, and wildlife in the heart of the city. Adopting sustainable standards does not mean sacrificing design. The exterior of Norway's embassy in Washington is proudly adorned with Norwegian copper, a subtle nod to the material used in the Statue of Liberty. The Embassy of Finland, embedded on the edge of lush woodlands, integrates performance-driven architecture with a clear expression of national identity through light, materials, and landscape. Canada, Sweden, the UAE, the United States, the Netherlands, France, and others have embraced similar strategies, using their diplomatic estates as platforms of climate leadership. All have earned LEED certification or other sustainability awards around the world. Why does this matter? Because worldwide, governments are losing momentum on climate policy. The OECD Climate Action Monitor report found that greenhouse gas emissions in 2023 from 50 OECD and partner countries were still about 8% above the level needed to stay on track for their 2030 targets and even further from their net zero pathways. And yet policy ambition grew by only about 1% in 2024, even as climate commitments grow more urgent. This makes embassies uniquely positioned to lead by example. They are where nations engage with their hosts, demonstrate their values, and build partnerships. When an embassy integrates green technology or sustainable materials, it signals that environmental responsibility is not just a domestic concern, but a shared global commitment. When a country mandates that their missions become sustainable, they create a blueprint that can then be used in their federal, state, and regional buildings at home. Given that the built environment is responsible for such a large share of global emissions, the potential impact of that choice is enormous. These buildings also operate at the most local level. As someone who lives and works in Washington, D.C., these embassies and the people who inhabit them are literally my neighbors. Many of them are turning their grounds into micro-ecosystems. The British Embassy, built on the grounds of a former farm, boasts large traditional gardens. The Canadian Embassy hosts monarch butterfly gardens. The Embassy of Tunisia cultivates pollinator gardens. Several embassies host beehive. Many grow herb gardens for their kitchens. These efforts are not only done at the whim of diplomats in post, many become enshrined in their country's policies for missions abroad. After all, what good is an urban oasis on the Swiss grounds in Washington if the next ambassador can simply pave it over? Spending time in these spaces changed my own professional trajectory. As an environmental journalist and foreign correspondent, I saw how powerful these projects could be, and I wanted to share them by telling their stories from a solution standpoint that inspires not only local action, but national policies. That led me to earn the LEED Green Associate credential from the US Green Building Council, allowing me to report on sustainable construction in a diplomatic context with greater rigor, and to advise legacy estates on adopting sustainability initiatives, large and small. It prompted me to earn credentials in native and urban gardening practices and to learn how to create shared ecosystems, whether among individuals or between nations. My reporting now focuses on environmental issues, especially those at shared borders, and on how foreign governments act as stewards of the lands they share with their host countries. I share these stories in a way that allows countries that may not have robust bilateral relations to learn from each other as neighbors in sustainability. But the imperative does not stop with diplomacy. We do not have to be diplomats to be ambassadors of shared spaces. Each of us inhabits structures that communicate who we are: our homes, our workplaces, our offices, our houses of worship. These places are extensions of our values, and they offer daily opportunities for meaningful change. Reimagining how we use them through energy efficiency upgrades, waste reduction, better materials, environmentally responsible landscaping, or renewable energy adoption allows us to reduce our environmental impact while inspiring others to do the same. It also allows us to improve our shared spaces with our own neighbors. We then each become caretakers in the truest sense of the places in our community. When embassies adopt responsible and ambitious sustainability practices, they become paragons to other countries in their diplomatic neighborhoods. When countries require that their diplomatic missions become sustainable, they lay a foundation of sustainability that can then be used in their domestic buildings. When individuals and communities are inspired by the embassies of their country or of others, and they mirror those choices in their own built environments, they support and amplify governmental commitments. Sustainable design choices are not just practical, they are expressions of responsibility for the world we share. Architectural diplomacy reminds us that buildings are active participants in global dialogue. Through changing administrations and shifting global winds, they remain steadfast, speaking through form, performance, and intention. When we listen and when we respond with purpose in our own spaces, we help build a more sustainable, interconnected world, one embassy, one nation, one neighborhood, and one building at a time.